Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to FYC Daily, the daily live broadcast of the For Your Consideration podcast done here every day. This is episode, I don't even know what the number is, but it is our Valentine's Day, the Day of Romance episode here on February 14th. We are so glad that you are joining us. Want to welcome a couple of the guys who are joining us right now. Before I tell you how to chat with us live, first of all, as always, a guy who's been co-hosting the show with me ever since we started at FYC Daily, Mr. Matt Bernard. Matt, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How's it going?
Doing well. And also joining us today, he is one of the founders of the For Your Consideration podcast. He is the senior editor over at Think Hero. And he's a cinematographer, he's a writer, he's a director, just an overall very cool dude. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Dennis Tzeng. Dennis, thanks for being here, man.
No problem. How's everyone doing?
I think we're all doing very, very well. We're glad that you're here. And we are glad that you guys are here. Those of you joining us on this live stream, everybody who's already in the chat board, thanks for being here. Listen, guys, if you are watching this stream anywhere other than the actual Ustream page or on our Facebook FYC podcast page, you can join us for a live chat. And here's the easiest way to do it. Just go to our Facebook page, which is at facebook.com/FYC podcast. That's facebook.com/FYC podcast. And once there, click on the Ustream Live link that's in the left-hand side. That'll take you to where the show page is, and you'll see a chat board underneath it. And you can jump in there, chat with us live. As you can see right here, we are actually watching the chat board. We got people already talking to Dennis. Dennis apparently is very, very popular. So thank you guys for joining us. We're really glad that you're here. And we've got a few things to talk about today. And I think the first thing that we're going to talk about, I think we'd be remiss. Yesterday, somebody in the chat board, I'm not sure who it was, suggested to Matt and I that we should probably talk about good films that have bad endings. Good films with bad endings. And I thought that was a great idea. And I said, you know what? We're going to take tomorrow and we're going to talk about that. And we will get to that in a second. But I would be completely remiss if we did not start with this. It has come out and been announced that Michael Bay has indeed signed, sealed, and delivered. He is back, ladies and gentlemen, for the next Transformers movie, which is right now tentatively being called Transformers 4. Now, the reason I say it is tentatively being called Transformers 4 is because producer Lorenzo de Bonaventura made some interesting comments. First of all, he confirmed that Michael Bay is indeed coming back to do Transformers 4. He will be directing, even though he said a long time ago that he was done with Transformers. He is back. Money talks. But he also said a couple other things. He said, first of all, it's going to be released, not go into production. It's going to be released in 2014. That means it's got to go into production. I mean, it can't go into production any later than the beginning of 2013. So it's got to be like about a year away or less from going into production if it's going to come out in 2014. But he also made some interesting comments. He said, and this is right from a quote of his, he says, really, it's a reboot. And they're telling a whole new story. So, but at the same time, he said they're bringing back characters. And he said we may bring back other actors, which is a little bit confusing because he's saying it's a reboot. It's a whole new story. But then he's also saying we're going to bring back some characters, whatever. So maybe we're looking at a requel kind of idea like Ghost Rider 2. Maybe we're looking at a slight reimagining. Maybe we're looking at a pure Transformers 4 sequel. Maybe we're looking at a pure reboot. I don't know. But Dennis, let's start with you. Your reaction, your thoughts on Michael Bay, despite everything he said before, coming back to do Transformers 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really happy with it, but it was kind of something that, you had predicted earlier and something that's not too surprising. I mean, those last two movies, the second and third one, were just god-awful. They were boring. There was no story to them at all. I didn't care about the characters. And it's not surprising that he's back for a fourth one, because I guess he just wants, money. And he doesn't really have, I guess, anything else to do. Really, what else is he really known for nowadays? It's just Transformers. So I'm not very excited about it. I don't like the idea of this requel or whatever the hell it is, because I, I I just don't think it's not exciting at all. I mean, who's excited to see a fourth one directed by Michael Bay that's has maybe some of the same characters? I know I'm not.
Not me either. The only reason I went to see the third one was because I figured it was the last one. I want to be the only one not to see it. See the second one at all, and then don't they have Bad Boys 3 or 4 to make? Isn't that what he's doing?
I think they have talked about doing Bad Boys 3. Now, look, it should also be mentioned here in talking about Michael Bay is that rumors did come out a few months ago that Paramount, look, he's got this passion project that he's been trying to get off the ground for years called Pain and Gain, starring that he's attached Mark Wahlberg and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And remember, the two of those guys have been in a film together before. They were both in The Other Guys.
They each play a character named Pain and Gain.
They each play.
That's going to be fantastic.
Each play a character named Pain and Gain.
Yeah, no, Roger Payne and Hector Gain.
Yes.
Or something. Yeah.
So there was a rumor a while ago that went around that Paramount might try to leverage the fact that he wants to do this project with getting him back, because he didn't want to do another Transformers film. At least that's what he said. But the rumor was Paramount would go to Michael Bay and say, hey, tell you what, okay, we'll finance your Pain and Gain movie, but you've got to agree. This was the rumor months ago, but you've got to agree to do another Transformers film. And I remember Dennis and I actually talked about this a little bit on a previous podcast. Like, is this a possibility? Do you think this could really happen? And blah, blah, blah. And obviously, you know, the refrain is, well, he doesn't want to come back to it, but money talks. He to back a dump truck full of money up to the guy's house. He'll probably come back and do it. And then now here they are. They've announced it. Dennis, you hear they've announced it now. It's happening. Do you think this was a matter of Paramount leveraging his Pain and Gain? Is this a case that he doesn't really want to do it, but he's going to do it because he has to do it in order to do his Pain and Gain? Or do you think he just wanted to come back and do it?
I think he wanted to come back and do it. I can't imagine him not being able to get that other movie funded. Maybe a different studio. Like, he obviously has a name, and there's a lot of fans of him. I'm not one of them, but I don't think it was totally necessary for him to do this in order to get that other movie made. It might have been an incentive, but I think he likes to be in the spotlight, and Transformers gives him that.
Matt,
yeah, Michael Bay can't get a movie made? I don't believe that at all. I think Michael Bay could get a movie made. He's made how much money has the Transformers made?
A gajillion.
Unbelievable.
I'm pretty sure that's the actual.
Ridiculous.
I think that's the actual scientifically worked out numbers. A gajillion dollars.
Yeah, just over a gajillion dollars.
I mean, you both raise a very good point. I mean, Michael Bay. It's not like he's some struggling filmmaker who hasn't had a hit. His movies make money, so it is hard to imagine that he didn't have some leverage. Unless the only thing I can think of here. And I'll throw this out there and agree with it or disagree. The only thing I can imagine that might have been at play here is if Michael Bay has some kind of development deal with Paramount and he's not free to go somewhere else to make a movie at this point in time. And if that's the case, then maybe Paramount does have leverage over him to say, okay, if you want your next film to be Pain and Gain, then you got to play ball with us here and you've got to agree to a Transformers film. I mean, that's the only thing I can imagine is at play here. I don't know why he would suddenly change his mind, especially because, look, it's well known. I love the first Transformers movie. I love it. I eat it up. I thought it was fan-frickin-tastic. As a Transformers fanboy, I love that film. Now, I'll talk to you all day about all the problems with it. I mean, it has problems, no doubt. I acknowledge them, and I'll talk about them all day. That doesn't preclude the fact that I still ended up loving it. Transformers 2 was a third trimester abortion of a film. Not good at all. The last one, while an improvement over the second one, I thought it had some terrific action. It had some great visual effects. But they were empty calories because they had absolutely nothing else to it. I think they wasted a lot of stuff. Man, am I excited? I don't know.
No, you're not. You're not excited. Look at you. You're not excited.
Okay, okay, let me put it this way. I'm excited for another Transformers movie.
Yeah.
I'm excited for
Just
another
not another
Transformers.
one of those.
Look, I'm one of the guys who said when they first announced that Michael Bay was going to be the director for Transformers, I was one of the few guys who said, you know what? This is a good fit. This is a good fit. I think obviously he's not the best director out there or the best director available, but I think he was a good fit for it in theory. And I thought the first one played out well. But I think I'm done with Michael Bay on Transformers. I mean,
No, you're not.
There will. Oh, I know you're not, whether you want to be or not. I think. Look, as long as The Rock is out there, and I mean the movie, not Dwayne Johnson. The Rock is out there. I will always look forward to a Michael Bay film. I mean, I know what I'm getting. Empty calories, but they can be fun. Look, like I said, I love The Rock. Armageddon. I don't care what anybody says. That is one of my guilty pleasure movies. I have a lot of fun when I watch Armageddon. Once again, I'll admit and discuss the problems with that film all day long. But I'll always look forward to another Michael Bay film just to check it out. It might be good, might be bad, but it might end up giving a good time.
Yeah.
But I think I'm done with him as far as Transformers go. Much like I ran out of energy with Sam Raimi on Spider-Man. It's like, Sam Raimi's awesome. There's no denying Sam Raimi is awesome.
Yeah. Well,
But
he may have run out of energy with Spider-Man.
Oh, we saw that in the third film. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
oh my goodness, did we ever see it in the third film? I still reel over how bad that movie really was. I mean, it's just ridiculously bad. But is there any doubt here, Dennis, that a Transformers, whether it is a reboot, and actually maybe let's visit this for a second. You and I had this debate a while ago. Do you still think the way for them to go? I mean, and you were of the position back in June, back in the summer, that if they make another Transformers movie, it needs to be a part 4, it needs to be a continuation. I was of the opinion that it needs to be a reboot. Have your thoughts changed on that? Do you still think it should be a continuation, or would you like to see something else? How are you feeling about it, since we know that they're doing it?
I've kind of swayed a little bit. I think that, okay, if they brought in a new director, like someone like Peter Berg or someone like, who does action pretty well.
How
in my
cool would
opinion.
a Peter Berg Transformers movie be?
Yeah.
Well,
That'd be
that's
pretty
what
cool.
Battleship is.
So if he, so let's say they bring in someone new, then like maybe what you're talking about, where it's a requel or whatever, where they're starting over, then I could say, okay, well, we got this new guy, and he's gonna start over with his interpretation. Then maybe I could get into that. But now it's the same guy who we didn't like before, and then he's gonna reboot it again. Like, why? There's no purpose. I don't know.
It's not
It just
completely
sounds
unheard
so
of.
boring to me.
It's not completely unheard of for a director to revisit his own property. I mean, it's rare. It's very rare, but it's not completely unheard of. I mean, I'm still of the opinion that I had a few months ago. I think you cannot do a Transformers movie without Megatron. You cannot do a Transformers movie without Starscream. You cannot do a Transformers movie without Jazz. You cannot do a Transformers movie without Ironhide. And I hear a lot of discussion amongst the fanboys that, oh no, you could do Beast Wars. That's great if you want 20 people to go to the movie. It's like, oh, you could do Galvatron. And look, Galvatron is a badass character. But the vast mainstream audience, remember, the vast mainstream audience don't know much about Transformers, but they know Optimus Prime and they know Megatron.
Yeah, well, Megatron was in the desert for like 3/4 of the last one, though. So I mean, he technically wasn't even in that one.
Yeah, which
So
to me was one of the
just
weaknesses.
stretch it out an extra.
To me, that was
30
one of the
more
weaknesses of the film. I just don't think you can do. I don't think you can do a part 4 of Transformers. I just don't think you can do it. It might be what they end up doing. I have hope, like, because of that quote from Lorenzo de Bonaventura saying, "Really, it's a reboot." I'm hoping he really means that, because I don't know, a part 4 with Michael Bay directing it once again. And I'm not shitting on Michael Bay, because in general I like his films for what they are, but I'm just tired of him with Transformers. So with him coming back, I really hope they reboot it. But any final words on this topic, guys?
I think we got it. Yeah, it would be nice to reboot it, right? It would be good, but that's just not what we're gonna get.
I think it is. I'm still thinking it is. I think it's going to be a reboot, but
Well, he said that they're gonna have Optimus Prime and Bumblebee for sure. I mean,
well, I mean, of course you have to have, but does that mean
Yeah.
reboot? Does that mean part 4? You got to have Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. But I also think you got to have, I mean, but really he said they haven't written word one. I mean, they're not really sure what this thing's going to be yet. So
they better get sure if they're going to do it in a year.
yeah, no kidding, right? I hope this all works out. Anyway, let's move on to what's going to be probably our main topic for the day, even though we've already talked for like 15 minutes about Transformers and Michael Bay. Let's, like I said again, I'll remind everybody, a question came up in the chat board yesterday about good movies that had bad endings. And I loved the question so much that Matt and I said, yeah, let's do this as a big topic tomorrow. And, you know, it's a rare thing having a good, solid movie that just has a bad ending. It's rare because usually there's lots of problems with the movie if it's going to have a bad ending, or it's good all the way through, or it's bad all the way through, whatever, or a bad movie with a good ending. But good movies with bad endings is hard to find. So, guys, I want to throw out 3 to you two, to Dennis and Matt here, and then we can discuss it.
I'm really hoping we have no crossover because this list was a lot harder to make than I thought. Like I got off yesterday, I'm thinking like, oh, this will be a piece of cake, and then like 2 hours later, I got like one movie. So
Okay, well, I'm sure we're gonna have some crossover. I didn't come up with. I mean, I came up with 5, but these are 3 that I really think. Just because VizDub and Mr. Picture brought up, I'll start with this one that I thought is a good movie with a bad ending. And that is No Country for Old Men. I hated the ending to that film. I hated it so much that I think it tainted my view and my feel of the whole movie. And I had to watch the movie again to reestablish my appreciation for the first 90% of it. But for me, the where it went wrong, where it started to go wrong at any rate, was the movie's so old I don't care if this is a spoiler for you or not. You know, you've got Javier Bardem, the villain, right? Who's been chasing down, or who was the main protagonist of the film there for a while? Damn it.
Josh Brolin.
Thank you. He was hunting down Josh Brolin. And the whole film is this, you know, constant problem between Josh Brolin and Javier Bardem. Their characters, that's the conflict. There's chase scenes, there's gunfights, whatever. And then when they finally bring that conflict to an epic conclusion, we don't even see the fight. It's just they've been stringing us along this whole movie about this conflict, and then we don't even see the final. We don't even see the final confrontation. It's just done. Brolin's just dead. What? That I found that I was so dissatisfied as an audience member. I was so dissatisfied. Anyway, Matt, what were you about to mention?
No. Well, I was just saying, like, the same thing with me. With time, I've gotten better with that ending. Like, the more I think about it, like the ending of The Sopranos. At first, I was like, this is bullshit, and then I think about it more, and I'm like, oh, that's okay. I accept that. But I think like the thing that's come out later on, and everybody says like, Josh Brolin's not supposed to be the main character in that movie. It's supposed to be Tommy Lee Jones, right?
Well, I mean, I think the movie is supposed to be told from his point of view.
Through Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, through Tommy Lee Jones's eyes, and I get that. But I'm sorry, as an audience member, you had me getting invested this entire film into this conflict between these 2 key characters, and then you don't even show us the resolution of it. Like, I don't care. I didn't care which way the resolution went, but at least show us the resolution. Like, I was so dissatisfied. I don't know, Dennis, am I crazy, or how did you feel about the ending of that film?
I was dissatisfied with the movie. You know, I really enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite movie that year. I thought There Will Be Blood should have won that year.
Yeah.
And the ending, it kind of was curious. It just ends, you know? There's no ending. I mean, Tommy Lee gives this like little speech, and then that's it. And I'm like, well, what happened? So
yeah, I agree.
Well,
So
yeah, it is a little bummer. Like this guy's like charging the castle, trips and falls and dies, and then the movie's over, right? Yeah, it's kind of a bummer that way.
all right, let's move on to the second one on my list. And I don't think a lot of people think about this one because this wasn't a very popular movie, but the Gerard Butler film, Law Abiding Citizen. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, for 3/4 of this film, I thought it was brilliant. I thought the first 3/4 of Law Abiding Citizen was nothing short of brilliant. I was eating it up. I was loving it. I mean, because it combines all the best elements of an action film, a heist film, a mystery film. I was just eating up, like, how is he pulling this off from inside prison? And I love it when in movies when there are just completely ingenious plans that when they start to reveal the plan, you say, yeah, that's actually plausible. They could actually do that. And I was eating it up. And then the ending for me, just the whole last 10, 15 minutes just went to complete pot. I didn't like the direction they went with Butler's character, and it kind of ruined the whole film for me. And I mean, so much so that I remember I grabbed the DVD of it once a bunch of months ago, and I just watched the first like hour and 20 minutes of it, and then I turned it off. I mean, that was my kind of way of dealing with the film at that point. But
that sounds like, well, I haven't seen that movie, but it sounds like one of those like in like I Love You Man, which I like, but like, you know, there's coming where they're gonna get angry with each other for something, and then they're gonna have to do this bullshit makeup stuff. So you just watch it until then and then turn it off.
Yeah, Dennis, I don't know. Did you have a chance to see Law Abiding Citizen?
No, I didn't. Yeah, it's one of those movies. I think it's on my Netflix queue that, you know, out of my 200 things that
And it keeps
I
getting
may or
pushed
may not
down
watch.
on the queue when new things come out.
Yeah.
I highly look for everybody on the chat board. I highly recommend Law Abiding Citizen. Yeah, the ending falls apart. I mean, it's a terrible ending, but I love the film for the most part. But anyway, let me just touch on the last one here on my list. And the last one on my list, I saw some guys in the chat board actually talking about it, is Signs. I think Signs is one of those films that gets a bad rap from some people, but really when you push them on it, it's just really all about the ending. I thought Signs was great. I really, really like Signs, but come on. Really, M. Night? Really? You're talking about a super advanced alien race that has the ability to transcend the stars, travel across the galaxy. When their biggest weakness in the world is water, they come to a planet covered in the majority of it with water, and they don't even bring a fucking raincoat. That this alien species is so advanced, like, oh my God, the most prominent thing on this planet is something that can kill us. Let's wear no protection whatsoever and just kind of trust everything's going to work out okay. I mean, they're an alien race that are that stupid. They're so advanced they don't know how to get out of a locked closet. And I mean, like, what? What? I mean, right up till that point, I'm eating up. I thought it was as freaky as hell, because one of the things M. Night does well is that he understood when a lot of other filmmakers didn't understand, was that the things you don't see that your imagination has to create on their own or fill in the pieces on its own is far more scary and terrifying than the things you do see. And really, a lot of Signs was terrifying. It was really scary and intense. And I loved all the mystery of it. I loved the supernatural element to it. I loved the terror part of it. I loved the characters. I loved the characters' side stories. And then the aliens are just the dumbest sacks of rocks you've ever come across. That, oh my God, a water gun can kill this thing, and they're fine with that. I didn't get it. Anyway, Dennis, your thoughts on Signs?
Yeah, I saw it and it was like, yeah, you know, I didn't mind the first, you know, 3/4 of it, and then at the end when it happened, I was like, okay, that's it. That's what we've been waiting for. So it was just, I don't know, it was just like so like, okay, all this build up and then nothing really happens at the end.
Matt, what do you think of it?
Yeah, well, I'm about the same thing. Like, I enjoyed that the whole run up all the way, and like usually I'll be like, oh, maybe they just didn't know, but like you said, like more than 75% of this ball is water. They probably should have fit that into their calculations.
You think at some point there would have been a committee meeting, a pre-invasion get-together meeting. Say, hey,
maybe
guys,
they were like, this is a slam dunk.
yeah. And somebody at some point might have thought, you know what might be a good idea? And I'm just spitballing here. Perhaps a raincoat. Just perhaps a raincoat might be a good idea for us. But yeah, so I just didn't. I didn't get it.
That was rough.
But let me before I ask you guys for the ones you would consider good movies with bad endings, just let me throw this out here really quick. It's not a movie, but can we really have this discussion without at least mentioning Lost? I mean, it's a TV series. It's not a movie, so it doesn't count. But I mean, what
It counts. It's
What?
still a thing.
what an epic failure! What a complete utter failure of an ending. I mean, I didn't. I mean, a lot of people just hated the entire last season. I did not hate the entire last season. I actually thought the last season. You know where Lost completely shit the bed for me? It was that episode that I think was like four. And Dennis, I think you and I have talked about this before, but it was that episode about four, maybe five episodes before the ending, before the complete end. That was just about Jacob and his brother, the black
Oh yeah,
smoke
that was
monster.
awful. That was awful.
That was the episode that to me went, these guys have lost their minds. Because right up until that episode, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was eating up the mystery. I was digging it. And then that one episode came. That was their nuking the fridge. That was their jumping the shark. That was completely coming off the rails. Was that one episode that screwed everything up for me.
I enjoyed Lost a lot, but I'm saying like the last like 2 or 3 seasons felt like they were just kind of like they had a notepad like writing stuff down and then they gave it to people and they just made it as it is, right? It didn't seem like it was very well planned out and all that. It felt that rushed for like probably the last 2 seasons. Right?
I did feel rushed for the last 2 seasons. It felt rushed, but I still liked where they were. Where I
Yeah,
at
so
least
did I.
I liked where I thought they were going. I mean, I liked where I thought they were going, but it was just bad, and that ending was just so terrible and unforgivable. And you know what? While I'm at it, I'll just mention here quickly what I still consider to be the best television series in the history of television. The first 3 seasons of Battlestar Galactica, to me, is just the best television has ever seen. And that episode, I believe, it's the episode called Exodus, I believe, when they have the second Exodus off New Caprica. To me, is the single episode of television I've ever personally seen. That's just my opinion. But then it did season 4, and actually after that New Caprica Exodus from New Caprica episode, which I think is like one of the greatest episodes of television history, it started to go downhill after that, and it was quite a dissatisfying last season. I appreciate where they said everything eventually went, with the fact that they end up on what we now call Earth, and they became our ancestors, they became our Adams and Eves, and we are actually all descendants of the crew of the Battlestar Galactica. I appreciated that. In theory, I appreciate that, but just how they did it and the way they executed it, I didn't like it. Dennis, I know you and I we used to get together and watch episodes of BSG. I mean, your thoughts on how Battlestar Galactica ended?
Yeah, I actually disliked BSG's ending worse than Lost. And actually Lost ending,
Wow.
The last season was like really uneven for me. And actually the finale wasn't too bad for me. I actually enjoyed most of it except for the last, I think, like 10 or 15 minutes. Then I was like, okay, what the hell is this? But Battlestar, yeah, that last half season was awful. It was really bad for me. Especially that there's this one episode where the whole episode revolves around how Colonel Ty has this out of wedlock baby with a Cylon and his ex-wife who's come back from the dead, like is jealous, and I'm like, what am I watching? Is this a soap opera or are we watching Battlestar Galactica? So I think they should have just ended with 4.0, and 4.5 I just think it was just an abomination.
They lost their way a lot. But anyway, Matt, let me start with you. Let's start with you talking about movies that you thought were good but that had bad endings.
Okay. Well, I could come up with about 3 or 4, and then most of them is like I like them. It's just kind of a bummer ending. So I don't know. But the first one I thought of was The Town. I thought everything came off the rails at the end of The Town.
Really?
Yeah.
I liked it.
I liked the town until like the gunfight, and then he like reaches over to get a soda, and I'm like, what's happening? And then at the end of like, then the gift he gives to her, I'm like, really? So she's just gonna take a duffel bag over there and just plop it down on the counter, and that's gonna solve the like. I don't understand what's happening.
I'll try that as a solution to my problems.
Yeah, you'll give it a shot, but you're not gonna finance any giant buildings with a duffel bag full of cash.
Maybe not, Dennis.
About the town?
Yeah.
I enjoyed the town. I
So
didn't
did
have any
I, and I
problem
like
with
the
it.
ending of it personally.
So,
Really?
Yeah, I dug the
See,
ending.
I'm dog shit at making these lists already. But no, that's what I'm saying. Like that, like I just like I remember I didn't see it until it came out on DVD, and I'm like sitting on the couch watching it. And I like look over at my wife, and I'm like, is this dumb to you? She's like, yeah, a little bit. And I'm like, oh, that's a bummer because I really enjoyed the first 75%, and then at the very end, I'm like, oh god, no, don't do the okay, great, fantastic.
I should mention this. Somebody in the chat board mentioned The Prestige, and I've got to concur. The Prestige is a movie that I absolutely, absolutely, absolutely loved, and I did not like the final twist. Like, but it's only like the last 2 minutes of the movie, if 2 minutes. But I did not like the final twist where. Spoiler, guys, for any of you who have not seen it, but it's out on video. So if you were going to ever watch it, you had a chance to see it. That the ultimate solution of the film was the fact that he was making clones of himself. I didn't dig it. I felt a little dissatisfied with that. But overall, I love the movie. So that's an interesting one to bring up. But Dennis, what about you? What about films that you thought were really good but didn't have good endings?
there's two that come out to me, and I think two people in the chat room, Apod Rocks and Anna BR mentioned it. Sunshine.
Oh yeah.
I love that
Yeah,
movie,
Sunshine is good.
and it would be my #1 science fiction movie of all time, except for what happens at the end, which is like it kind of takes the genre and turns into something else. I don't want to spoil it if people
Space
haven't seen it.
zombies.
And it just I didn't understand where that fit into it, because I thought the first like 3/4 were brilliant, and even like the ending without whatever the hell happens is pretty cool. It's just I don't know why they included that in the thing. I think it had something to do with because the movie before that Danny Boyle had done was what was it, 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
And maybe they wanted to like incorporate that because that's what he was known for, but it was just totally misplaced. I still love the movie. It does have that, fatal flaw. And the other one that comes to mind is one of my favorite movies as well, is LA Confidential. I love that movie, but it really should have ended when Guy Pearce's character takes his badge and raises it up when they come up. And then they tagged on this kind of Hollywood, I don't know, everything's all good ending that I really didn't need to see. So I just don't understand why they put that. I guess maybe they wanted to satisfy the I don't know, regular audience, but they really could have cut that out.
Yeah. Well, the one I had it's being mentioned a lot in the chat board is I Am Legend. Was that kind of like that to me? Like it should have ended like just before they got down in that little cellar. So like that's a theme with all the movies I was thinking about. Like, man, if you could just stopped right here instead of going completely off the rails, that would have been fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
And then I Am Legend's like the two there's two endings on the DVD. I'm hyped up, and I didn't like either one of those either.
Right. Christopher in the chat board raises a really good one that I can't believe I didn't think of. But Kill Bill Volume 2. The fact that Bill and Kiddo don't ever actually fight.
Yes.
I hated that.
Yeah.
So once again, it kind of goes to the a little bit to the No Country for Old Men thing, where it's like, okay, I've been waiting for 2 movies for Kill Bill, and for she's having these huge epic battles with all these other peons along the way, and she finally gets to Bill, and there's no fight, and I'm like, what? No, what? Yeah, I and for that reason, I've never watched Kill Bill Volume 2 again. I just dismissed
I love Volume 1. I
Yeah.
love Kill Bill Volume 1. I'll
Yeah.
watch that repeatedly. 2 I'll watch once in a while. It's still really good except for the ending. Like you said, like they talk about how this awesome fight on the beach is going to happen, and then nothing happens. Then she does the move, which she could have done in a big battle scene,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, guys, you guys in the chat board have been throwing up a ton of good suggestions here. But
Okay.
you know what?
Here's one. Well,
Okay.
the real fast. AI is going nuts on the chat room,
Yes.
and that was one of the movies I had too. I don't know if it's like horrible. I wasn't offended by the ending or anything. Like I think it was, but it was just such a fucking bummer.
Well,
Well,
the thing with
I
AI,
didn't understand what the context of the ending had to do with what the film was about. I mean, it was
Yeah.
about the isolation of this boy, and I don't know what freaking aliens had anything to do with it. You know, like what? Like I don't know. That was one of the ones, kind of like LA Confidential, where there was a great ending part where when he jumps into the water at the very end and is just kind of like floating down, and I was like, oh yeah, this would be awesome if they just ended it right here, but
Yeah.
they didn't.
I'll be
Yeah.
honest with both of you guys. The reason I would not put AI on this list is because I don't think it was a good movie at all. I didn't I didn't think there was. Honestly, I know it was Kubrick, and I know it's sacrilegious to say anything but amazing things about anything that Kubrick does, but I'll be honest, and I know much smarter people than me that do like the film, including the two of you. But I watched that film and I was bored with it from start to finish. So I can't put it on this list because I don't think it did the good movie part of our good movie that has bad endings. I was bored with this film the entire way through. Like I wanted to like it, and maybe because I love Kubrick, I love Spielberg, and maybe the fact that I wanted to love it so much hampered my viewing experience of it. But I just did not get into AI at all. I wanted
Well, I
to.
haven't seen it since, but I do remember. I just remember that like, oh man, this is a bummer that he's gonna be down there. He's just staring at it forever, and now that's it. And then I'm like, oh, he's gonna wake up, and then there's gonna be aliens, combing his hair and doing these weird things. Like I'm like, what the hell?
Well, some other people are bringing it up in the chat board. I've seen it mentioned a few times. Audrey just brought it up again. But Super 8, again, Super 8 is one of those films that I cannot put on the list because I didn't think it was a good movie. I think it's a movie with a major identity crisis. Like I was in Las Vegas last summer, and we talked. J.J. Abrams talked there at CinemaCon in Las Vegas about how he had an idea for two separate movies. Okay, J.J. Abrams said, I had this movie that I've been working on in my head for a long time, just about the joy of kids making their own movies with Super 8 video cameras. Okay, or with 8mm video cameras. He goes, but then later on I had this other great idea for another movie about a train leaving Area 51 and it gets derailed and something comes out of it and starts terrorizing the things. I'm like, okay, that sounds like a good movie too. He goes, and then I just thought, hey, why don't I just put the two of them together? Boom! And it never works. This is a film, Super 8 to me is a film with a major identity crisis. It's pretty intriguing up until the train wreck. And the train wreck is awesome. But after the train wreck, it just fizzles. The whole thing to me fizzles. It's a movie with a major identity crisis. It doesn't know what the movie is because J.J. Abrams saw them and envisioned them as two completely different films and just kind of mashed them together with the story he wanted to tell of kids loving to make films with the box office draw of a sci-fi monster movie. And to me, it didn't work. Sorry, Matt, what were you about to say?
No, I haven't seen Super 8. I thought it was pretty widely liked, but doesn't the train crash happen in the beginning?
Yep. Yep. Train crash.
So like right after the opening title card, it just kind of goes off the rails.
It's not quite that early. I think it's about 15 or 20 minutes in the train wreck
Yeah,
crashes.
I think it's closer to like 30 minutes in. I think they
Yeah,
build
yeah.
up to it.
And I liked everything up until that point, but then it lost me. Then it became a film with an identity crisis. It never felt right, and then the ending was bad. I'm sorry, I'm not going to feel sympathy for a space monster that I just saw picking up and ripping a guy's head off. I'm not going to feel sympathy for that space monster. I mean, I understand he's had a hard life. Things have been tough. I get it.
Yes,
But-
space monsters are people too, John.
Yeah, I know. What the hell am I thinking? What the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, guys. We're at almost at 40 minutes. We've just got a few minutes left here. I'd like to take the rest of this time here to throw it open to you guys. For those of you who are joining us in the chat board, start throwing up questions. Matt's going to keep an eye on them. Questions or topics that you would like us to cover for the next 10 minutes or so, 10 minutes or less. And we will just, you guys dictate now what the rest of the show is going to be. What are we going to be talking about? So with that being said, throw them up in the chat board. And Matt, what do we got?
Here's a question that's going to no doubt end our show.
Is it about
Better
abortion
movie,
or something?
No. Well, it's a Phantom Menace question.
Oh, good. Oh,
Better
good.
film, Phantom Menace or Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen? Go, John, go.
Oh God. If I had to pick one that I had to watch again, damn. Okay, if I had to pick one that I had to watch again, I would watch The Phantom Menace again, if for no other reason than the pod race and the Darth Maul duel. That
Yeah.
that tips it for me. Dennis, what about you? Which one of the two would you watch
Yeah,
again?
same. I easily can say Phantom Menace, even though I didn't like it. There are some redeeming qualities about it, like you mentioned, the pod race, Darth Maul. Yeah, I don't want to watch Revenge of the Fallen ever again.
Yeah. Okay, what else we got, Matt?
Yeah. Let's see. What do you think of Guillermo del Toro directing a remake of The Beauty and the Beast starring Emma Watson?
Well, I mean, okay, first of all, it's not okay. Beauty and the Beast is one of those stories that it's so timeless and been so many times. I wouldn't call it a remake. It's not a remake of anything. It is another unique re-envisioning of that tale. It's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet film. Like everything about Star-Crossed Lovers is not a Romeo and Juliet remake. It's just kind of a reimagining. Like some of the classic ones like Wuthering Heights or something like that. You don't call them remakes. They're just another director coming along and it's one of the classics and wanting to do it. I think Beauty and the Beast has come to the point where it's one of those classic stories. So I wouldn't really call it a remake. That being said, I love Guillermo del Toro. I'll give anything Guillermo del Toro does a shot. So yeah, I'm excited for it simply because of Guillermo del Toro, and it's a great story. Dennis, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in seeing it. I mean, we have seen a lot of these, this story before, but I'd be interested in his take. If it was maybe a different director that I didn't really care much for, I'd probably not be interested, but just for the fact that it's him, then yeah.
Okay, Matt, what else we
Visually.
got?
They want to know if John is going to make a worst endings 2011 before the Oscars.
The worst
A list
end?
of
No,
the
no,
worst
that's
endings.
a little bit too obtuse. I don't think I would. I don't think I put together a list of worst endings. I mean, I'll put together a list of worst films, but probably not worst endings.
No. All right. Did you see the Abraham Lincoln the Vampire Hunter trailer?
Yeah. Um,
Yes. Next question. Yeah, me too.
okay. Yeah, I saw it, and it really. I'm excited for the movie. But the trailer is not what made me excited for the movie. Neither does the trailer turn me off the movie. It's just that the trailer just shows a bunch of random scenes without giving any real context to anything. So I don't really know what's going on. I just see lots of jumping around and lots of fire and whatever. So
Yeah, there's a giant train flying.
yes, I think it has something to do with Super 8. And so honestly, it's a trailer. It neither makes me more excited for the film nor does it take away because it gives no context to anything whatsoever. It's a trailer. Not a particularly well thought out trailer, but it's a trailer. So, yeah, there you have. Dennis, did you see it?
Yeah, I saw the trailer. I mean, it looked okay. I don't think the movie looks particularly that interesting in general. Also, the director is the guy who directed Wanted, which I didn't really care for. So, yeah, I'm not too excited to see it.
I loved Wanted. I
Oh,
loved
that was one
Wanted.
of those horrible, and I didn't like the ending. That
I
was
like the
horrible.
ending too. Maybe not the.
I
Maybe.
like that. I like the ending. It's everything is good.
I loved Wanted so much. I did. I mean,
There's
maybe I
some cool
shouldn't.
action sequences in Wanted, but yeah, I don't know. The whole weaving the that
Ah, I
thing.
thought. Are you
Uh,
kidding? The
uh,
Tapestry of Fate. I thought that.
uh,
I thought the Tapestry of Fate thing was awesome and Wanted. Anyway, sorry, I
yeah.
don't want to guess. We've only got time for like one more question, guys. Save your questions. I know there's tons on the chat board right now that we didn't get a chance to get
Hmm.
around to, but save them. Ask them again tomorrow. But anyway, Matt, pick one
Yeah.
more for us here, buddy.
Okay. One more. Here, we'll go with the last one I got. Your thoughts on the artist winning Best Picture? Do you think it's going to win Best Picture? Do you think it should win Best Picture? It's nonstop artist talk this week.
Yeah, this topic comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Look, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think there is a very good possibility that the artist will win Best Picture. But I firmly don't think it should. I think it should be nominated. I think it's a very brave film doing a black and white period piece film, black and white period piece silent film. I think is very brave, but I think the novelty of that and the bravery of it is clouding or is creating this artificial illusion that the creativity of it is somehow equals greatness. Creativity in and of itself is a wonderful trait, but it's still only creativity. You still have to judge the result of the creativity on its own merits, I think. And I think the results of the creativity in the artist are good, but I just do not think they're best picture material. I do not think this film is better than Hugo. I do not think this film is better than Descendants, and I certainly don't think The Artist is better than The Help. I would put all of those films above it. I would put it in the top 5, but I would not give The Artist Best Picture. I don't think it deserves it. I think people are, like I said, they're creating this false comparison of creativity to actual supreme quality. It's supreme creativity, but I don't think the result was supreme quality. Like I said, I would put The Descendants, Hugo, and absolutely I'd put The Help above it. Dennis, what do you thought?
I didn't see The Artist, so I can't judge. I just know that a lot of people are saying that it is overhyped. But I mean, I'm not really that excited for most of the movies this year for the Oscars. So, I saw Descendants. I liked it, but I didn't think it was an Oscar-nominated worthy film. I'm a huge Scorsese fan, and I liked Hugo, but it wasn't the best for me either. So
yeah, I think it was a little bit overpraised, but I still really, really liked it. Yeah. Talking about Hugo there, and just last thing, somebody asked me again thoughts on Dragon Tattoo. I love Dragon Tattoo. I think Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the North American version, the one we just have right now, is superior in almost every way to the Swedish original. I really do. I think Rooney Mara gives a better performance as the lead character than Naomi Rapace, however you pronounce it, Rapace.
I don't know.
And I like the original. I thought it was good, but I do think, and if when I have this debate with people all the time talking about Drive, and I say, no, Drive did not deserve a nomination for Best Picture. It's great. I loved it, but it's just too one-tone. People say, well, it deserved it over Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Yes, it did. But if you're going to bump out Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, you put in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. You don't put in Drive.
So what about Warrior? I think Warrior was better than some of those movies.
I loved Warrior. I ate up Warrior. I aside from, the one clear film to me out of the 9, and this isn't bad. If you can only say 1 out of 9, that's pretty good. The one film to me that clearly does not belong on the list, you can make an argument about the other ones, is Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. I wouldn't have Midnight in Paris on there. I think that's a horribly overrated film. There is some discussion that can be had about some of the other ones. But overall, there's one film that just don't belong there, and that's Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Warrior, man, Dennis, you've confounded me. Do I put Girl with the Dragon Tattoo in there in its place, or do I put Warrior there in its place? Oh, I've been confounded. Yeah, I am still beside myself why so few people saw that movie.
Because it's MMA. They're like, oh, it's MMA. I don't want to watch it. But it's,
And they're stupid.
That, and it looked really bad, dude. From the trailer, like, I didn't see it, but like everybody who saw it and I heard people talk about it, they're like, it's good, it's really good. But it looks so stupid.
The trailers, I concede the trailers weren't great. The trailers were not great. I'm more than concede. I agree. The trailers weren't great because when I went to go see it, I remember how shocked I was by how fantastic the movie is. And I guess if the trailers were great, I wouldn't have been that shocked. And yet I was. Nick Nolte did get nominated. I think rightfully so. Nick Nolte is getting a lot of praise for his role in that film. And deservedly so. That nut job deserves a little bit of some good stuff to come his way, I think. And certainly he deserved it. I mean, that scene when he's in the hotel room and he's fallen off the wagon and he's drunk again and so depressed. That scene's heartbreaking to me, man. That seems so heartbreaking.
I think Tom Hardy should have got nominated as well.
The Best Actor nomination list this year is really solid. Really solid. And so I wouldn't have minded seeing either Joel Edgerton or Tom Hardy nominated, but at the same time, I can't blink because they're not on there because, man, you got some damn good performances on that list this year.
Well, Gary Oldman finally got a nomination, and I actually really liked Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, even though some people hated it, and I thought that should have been nominated for Best Picture, but that's just me.
If I'm not mistaken, did get nominated for Best Picture, did it not?
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
Guys, correct me here if I'm wrong, guys. Did Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, for those of you in the chat board, did Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy get a nomination? Okay, no, Mr. Picture is saying no, it didn't. Okay, for some reason I had in the back of my head that maybe it was one of the 9, but no, it was just Gary Oldman. People are freaking out about Ryan Gosling not getting a nomination. Look, let me just throw it in one more time. I'll probably have to repeat this every other show until the end, until the Oscars. Folks, I'm going to pull this up on a one shot of me here.
Okay.
Look at me. All right?
Campea is going to get serious now.
Repeat
Yeah,
after
everybody
me.
listen up.
First, take a deep breath. Okay? Ryan Gosling did not deserve a nomination for Drive. He did not. He just didn't. It was a one-note character. And that character had to be one note to be so effective. To make Drive what it was, it needed the driver to be this certain way, and just that certain way, monotone all the way through. And that's what he was. But when you have a performance like that, when you have a role like that, not necessarily even the performance, when you have a role like that, it's there's not a lot of range to it, and I think it disqualifies itself from being considered one of the best performances of the year, especially when you can hold it up to a performance like George Clooney in The Descendants, who had to have a huge range of emotions and circumstances and criteria. Ryan Gosling did not deserve a nomination for Drive. If he deserved a nomination this year, and I'll make an argument for this, he should have been nominated for Ides of March. I mean, Ryan Gosling in Drive, that wasn't even Ryan Gosling's best performance of the year. Ryan Gosling's best performance of the year was in Ides of March, and I think there's an argument to be made that he should have been nominated for that. But anyway, we'll just leave it at that. Some people are saying that better than Brad Pitt playing Brad Pitt in the most overrated film of the year. A-Pod Rocks, you're out of your mind. Moneyball was an awesome movie.
Yeah, Moneyball was good.
Moneyball was awesome. But anyway, listen, guys, we've got to wrap it up because we are over 50 minutes, and we like to try to keep this thing to 45. Guys, this was a lot of fun. I love podcasting with Dennis Tzeng. I love it when Dennis is available, and so I'm hoping he'll be available to do this a lot more. Dennis, thanks a lot for being here today.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, and it's cool to see all these people chatting it up.
Yeah, and it goes without saying, I love the bearded sexual dynamo known as Matt. Matt, thank you again so much for being here and doing this every day with me.
Oh, come on.
Thank you to all you guys in the chat board who've been joining us and correcting us where we've made factual mistakes and giving us great topics to talk about. Don't forget to come back. We will be back again tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as we are every day. I'll let you know right now in advance. There will be no show Friday. And there will be... Yeah, there'll be no show Friday. Wait a second. What day of the week is it right now? It's the 14th.
Tuesday.
Okay. There will be no show this Friday because, unfortunately, I got to get on a plane and fly to Arizona. So there will be no show Friday, but we are back tomorrow. We're back the next day. We're just not here Friday. So don't forget to come back. Don't forget to subscribe to this show. When you find when I put this show back up in a pre-recorded form, just look in the description. You'll see the links for subscribing to the show, either on iTunes or subscribing to the audio-only edition. If you're like me and you like to listen to podcasts in the car, in the bedroom, whatever, make sure, listen to me closely. If you haven't yet, go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/FYC podcast, and make sure you like us. Like our FYC podcast page. Tell everybody else in the world about this podcast. Thank you again so much for joining us. Again, big thanks to guys like Dennis Tzeng and Matthew Bernard for being here and running this thing with me. And thank you guys so much for joining us. Don't forget, we'll be back again tomorrow. And until then, bye-bye.